This is SeerNova Podcast, episode 115. That like sped up and then it went back to normal, but when it actually downloads, it will be normal. That's weird.
It looked normal on my side.
Yeah, it went.
That's funny.
So we have Shaun. I can never say your fucking last name.
Barbour, Barbarian, or whatever.
So tell people a little bit about you.
I'm a creator at this point, a writer, inker of comic books. I'm a single dad of multiple children, and I don't know.
TikToker.
But yeah, I do. Yeah, the TikToks and the things and the stuff.
Yeah. He dances on TikTok. No, he doesn't. No,
I don't dance. I try to share. I try to be supportive of people there, though, too, just like anywhere else. Oh, and I guess the founder of the Indie Comic Conspiracy page on Facebook.
There you go. Yeah, that's kind of a good one.
A big one.
Cool. So this is your first ever podcast that you've been on like solo. That's insane.
Yeah. So usually it's like full panel, and I can fade into the background, so to speak.
That's what I usually do. Yeah. I just sit back until someone's like, "What about you? What's your opinion on this?" I was like, "Oh, I have to talk now."
Right. Yeah.
I just did that on Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday. It was me and my artist for Mittens and a bunch of other people. And I'm like, I can just sit back.
And you just got to keep your fingers crossed that you're listening to everything when you get switched over to you.
And I did, I guess, kind of well, besides like stuttering a little because I was like, I don't know about this. They're like, how do you think you can sell a toy or whatever at Comic-Con over a comic or flip-flop? And I was like, no idea, because I've never sold those. So. Never actually done a Comic-Con either. So.
Really? You've never done a Comic-Con?
No, we have yet to do that. We wanted to in 2020, and then, yeah.
Yeah. I had one lined up to do with Kyra and Sova, and for the last couple years, it was forwarded what we paid for the table. We had the option to get the refund, but forwarded it out. So I'm looking forward, fingers crossed, that it happens this October.
Oh, that's cool. Which one's that?
OralCon. It's in Oroville. It's at the casino there. It's an outdoor show. It's pretty small, but it's fun, and it's close enough that I can kind of make it too, because I live in a super like rural area.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to do those. I don't know if I want to like. We were actually planning on doing that this year, and then it just fell through. Probably because like I was looking for a house, and then we were gonna do it with our friend Hector, and he lives in Chicago, and just the whole money and.
I was gonna say the capital to kind of invest in all that stuff is right up front. You gotta plan ahead and have faith that you're gonna be able to reclaim that at some point.
Yeah, he originally was gonna move to New Zealand in June, but now it might be October. So I was like, okay. So
Life's weird like that.
Yeah, that was very weird. And then I'm like, and then I have to pay him to make Seer Chronicles. So I was like, so I don't know when we're gonna do that. Yeah, but the other creators on our platform, we're supposed to be like, we're going to be selling their stuff too.
Are you?
While we're going to, yeah. So whenever we finally get to a Comic-Con, that's what we're going to be doing. We have a whole like plan. It's just, we have to actually like execute on the plan.
I was going to say, I kind of toyed around with the idea, like in my own brain of seeing if people would be interested in doing stuff like that, getting some of like people you trust, and being like, hey, if you were able to keep a majority of the profits, and send me back just a little something so I can, reclaim at least what I put into the book, just to kind of expand, the awareness of the title, and hopefully, for future like Kickstarter campaigns or whatever, if you made sure when you sent them the books, you put like the sticker and a card or something, and that kind of could come back to you. I wonder what that investment would do, because I know that for me, when I was at a convention myself, the most nerve-wracking thing is when you walk up to somebody or you're tabled next to somebody that has like 10 books and you've got one or two. So for me, that was one of those things. I was like, well, if I could lend to other people that are kind of just starting out for their table, or if they'd be able to send stuff to me, and I could, people that you trust, that you're invested in already, where they've kind of gone and know their pitch. You know what I mean? But it requires an investment on both sides and a lot of trust, and that's hard.
Yeah. I also would like Dylan or somebody else to be there with me, because I'm not the kind of person that I don't think would be able to sell things to people.
I'm lucky that my 16-year-old, he's enjoyed going to conventions and store signings and stuff with me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we want to do store signings and stuff too. Like some people, instead of doing Comic-Cons, they just go to stores and set up there. Like Travis Gibb does that a lot. He goes to Comic-Cons, but he goes there too. And Aaron Dowan from Catalyst Comic Studio, him and Matt, they both do store. They like stores. I think still like stores over like an actual Comic-Con, because I guess there aren't a lot in North Carolina or where they are.
That's kind of like my whole thing too. Like, if in order for me to get to the closest even comic book store, I've got to travel probably about 35-40 minutes. So that convention that I was talking about, that's like an hour away too. So everything, I'm super rural. So my hopes and dreams of being at conventions is this big. So I just keep making comics because I like making comics.
Yeah. I have a comic book store that's literally like in the village, which is basically down the street around the corner from where my house is. So but it's very small, so like they probably wouldn't be able to do like in-store signings stuff. Also, they somehow made room. But I went in there once because I wanted to sell our comics in there, but the owner wasn't there. And there's a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff in there. I was like, that's pretty cool. Then they have indie books in there, so I was like, you definitely would want ours.
Yeah, ours has it had like a little section for like indie books and stuff, and it kind of got lucky. If you're familiar with like Garrett Gunn, he's lived near me for a long time before he moved, and so he was in real good with the people that own the store. It's a family-owned comic shop, so I got to do like a store signing and stuff with him, and just share a space, and that was pretty cool. And then so him and I are friends, and that's led to doing some like a Good Boy cover for him, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And
still have to read it, but I know the pitch, so yeah, I just have to read it. There's so many boxes that I still have to read. I did a live stream yesterday with Caleb from like Village Comics. I think that's what it's called. He does Neverland. Like he has a Kickstarter right now. It's called Neverland. And I was telling him that I have just boxes sitting here because like things that I want to do in this office. Like I have to paint it and everything still. So I didn't take anything out of the boxes besides my computer. And I'm like, I have like stacks of comics I still have to read, but and so I put a couple next to my bed before I moved, and I was like, these are the ones I'm going to read. So I read like the second Belial and stuff like that before. But
yeah, that's dope. What'd you think of it?
That's hilarious, and I like the Office Space thing in it.
Oh yeah, that's one thing that if you actually were to look inside issue 2 towards the beginning in the throne, I actually put Mudvayne in the throne. So there's little Easter eggs and stuff that we get to put. We kind of just have fun with it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the third one. So
yeah, no, that thing, it's being lettered right now. Actually, Scott Weldon from Harlan Buck is doing the letters for it. So it's almost completely done. We just got let me see if I can pull it up. I guess the cover. I don't even know how this program works. Anyway, I was going to show you, but there it is. That right there. So that's the new cover, pretty much, minus a couple little tweaks. I got to space out the L and the I so it doesn't look like Belial.
Yeah.
And then I got to add that on the second issue. I forgot to put the number for the issue.
Oh.
So the only thing that you get to ensure that it's the second issue, which is kind of fun for me, is the fact that there's the toilet paper and stuff. So it's obviously number 2. So even though it doesn't have the number, it's got the number.
So besides Belial, you have I Drive for Cerber, right?
Yeah. I was scrolling around on Reddit one day and kind of dived into the whole creepypasta thing. My kids are into it and stuff. And I read one of these stories. I really liked it enough to actually investigate, turn on the detective light, and search out the author for it. And turns out that was their pen name. And so I had kept plugging along, and I was actually able to get in contact with them. Turns out they only live a couple hours away from me. Oh. And they gave me full rights, full permission to develop the comic book and all the marketability for it and everything else. And so with that, and then being able to team up with Kyron, there was no way that it wasn't going to be made.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is it all the kind of like cryptid kind of things, or is it like
it's yeah, kind of, well, not specifically cryptids, I guess you could say. There's like there's one character, Ray, in the first issue, I guess you could say. And he is basically Slenderman without going into the fact that it is Slenderman, but you can tell visually that it is. But he's wearing a hoodie with his suit underneath type of thing. Oh. And he's obviously, you can see his physique and everything else. So you're going to draw that connectivity with the character. But there's a few other things too. So with it being, Uber for the supernatural, basically.
So weird.
We get to play around with that. So there's Borg, who is an ogre, but he likes to think that he's an orc, even though he's been told that orcs aren't real, and that was a Tolkien thing. But he likes to refer to himself as an orc. And then you've got a couple other surprises kind of along the way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Huh. So are you thinking of like doing that this year or next year? Like actually like putting it on Kickstarter or whatever?
Oh, right after Belial, pretty much. Actually, that issue has already gotten like 10 pages colored. And I've got 27 out of the 31 pages that it is of the artwork already inked and everything. And I've got the first 25 pages already lettered. Wow. So it's been a battle as to which one was going to launch first on Kickstarter. I was like, well, whatever one production-wise gets done first, that's the one that's going to pull forward. And I think we're at the point now where Belial has kind of pulled itself just forward enough to eke out the first launch. So
that's good. Yeah, right now I'm thinking I have 4 Kickstarter that's going to be next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got Belial. I've got I Drive for Cerber. I've got another book that's already been all the artwork is pretty much already done. It's just waiting to be colored, called Median. That's actually going to be done, which I'm hoping for, hopefully early this next year. And then I've got another psychological horror comic that was my first solo written comic book that's like 3 or 4 issues long that I've actually got all scripted and already taken care of that way. And the first issue's already been edited. I just need to hold off because making comics is not cheap.
No.
I've got to see if I can at least try to reclaim the money that I've already invested into these books, so I can turn it around and continue production elsewhere. So
yeah, with Mittens, me and Josh did the math last night, and to pay Mittens in full, we have to get to like 4,900 on the Kickstarter, which we're kind of like nearing. Well, in a sense, but we are past 4,000, which is,
and that's actually not that bad considering you've got color and stuff. I mean, we with sharing Belial with Chuck, we split like the prints and stuff, like all the stuff that you would get if you were a solo creator for yourself. You've now got to double that.
yeah.
So what we don't have in the colors, we more than make up for in having to do the second print, so we can actually share the property, so to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm, like, still trying to figure out the math on, like, because I only want to pay from my paycheck Hector and Adam for the comics that they're going to be working on, and just Ink 2 and Seer Chronicles 3, and then I'm going to try to get it so the Kickstarter would pay for the next issue for each of those.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford it.
I've been trying to do that with Belial too. Okay, so the first one, as you know, because we've talked obviously over the years now, first one took a big hit and had to make up for that out of pocket. The second one, we were able to. Let me too, kiddo. Sorry, one of my kids is leaving with his mom. The second one, we were able to get a little bit towards the next issue, so that was pretty cool. So we're hoping that this third one we'll get a little bit further, and maybe by the fourth one we'll be able to wrap it up and then market it out to maybe some other bigger publishers for distribution purposes and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. He did like the math for like if I just pay half to him and then I pay out of my paycheck. I'm like, well, I'm trying to make it so I don't have to pay you at all, like from my paycheck. So I'm hoping that we just get the amount from the Kickstarter that I want.
Oh yeah, I totally turned my taxes into comic book investment money. Honestly, at the time, thinking I was going to be able to already have done, the Belial, and then turning Cerber in for October, but life has its way of just, correcting your path sometimes. So.
And I have an interview to either I'm gonna have a second full-time job, or I'm going to do something. I don't know. Like if I can't do that, then maybe I'll do freelancing because I have to get money somewhere, and I don't know where. Just start going on the corner or something.
Yeah. No, I know for me, I've been actually having a lot of fun doing stickers for some people, like sticker designs. I don't do the colors, but
if I got better at like Blender, then I could actually do that for people. But
I was actually thinking about that. You're one of the people I was thinking of because I like calling in with people just getting into it because then you get a more passionate interaction. But seeing that, I was like, I wonder. But I like seeing when you pop those things out. Those things are kind of cool.
Yeah. I have to get back into it because Chris, I can't say the last name either. Thomas. Yeah, that one. Him, me, and Chuck, and I think you were in the fucking group message. Yeah, I think it was you too. And we wanted to try to do like Belial as like an Adult Swim kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
I didn't forget that.
You can probably see that Chris actually commissioned somebody to do that.
That's awesome.
So I did not fall over, but that's one of the people that he had do it, and that totally rocked it. You know what I mean? And because you as a creator, you have hopes and dreams that your comic will be something and grow on its own and create its own life eventually.
Yeah.
And so, but for me, I was just like, I got into comics as a promise to my grandmother and to be able to leave something behind for my kids. But to have somebody be like, hey, I think this would be great as like a cartoon, I'm like, okay, well, that's, cool. I haven't gotten there yet. But then when they show you something like this and they send it your way, you're kind of like, fine, I get it now.
Okay.
So sometimes it's not even your own, passion for your own project. Sometimes you just get, mollywopped upside the head by somebody else's, which is kind of a dope experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Dylan was like, well, eventually I kind of want to, he can picture like Ink being our like Batman Adventures show. And I was like, what? That'd be awesome. But I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking of making a comic book.
I think it's funny because you get razzed so much for that book specifically.
Yeah. So I put a post that says it's coming out next year because
calm down.
People that are like, where is it? And I was like, I know it's been long, but I was gonna do Ink 2, Scales 2, Ink 3, Scales 3, and then I was gonna do Ink 4. But now I'm probably gonna just do Ink 2, 3, 4, and then wrap that up, and then that will be sitting there for a little bit, and then Scales can come in and finish off for the first.
And if we had the finances is one of the biggest obstacles, I think.
Yeah, because I have a timeline of all the comics and where they are, and Joseph Duaz is like, whoa, that's a lot. And I was like, yeah, that's like my plan, but I keep adding more, and there's going to be more because like when I'm doing Mittens, we're already coming with more ideas for other characters and stuff for like solo series.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, there's like an insane amount of ideas.
Well, that's the thing with a good idea. A good idea will continue to grow. If you've got a small idea, it'll grow stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah, and Scales got some world building behind it recently because of this one guy that's on our platform, Luke. He like kind of helped with. He was gonna do this one comic, but then it fell through because I don't know, friend or something like didn't want to do it anymore.
Really?
Yeah, but the world building in that comic connects to Scales in a way, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, this helps me a lot because I had nothing really for Scales.
Scales is fun though. That actually, like I showed you, like I told you before, a couple of people in the office that are interested in stuff that I'm doing, and since doing the inks on that, and he sent me the copies, I brought one to work. Say, oh, here's something else I was involved in, and right away they were like, I need to read it, and then they both came back and was like, where's the next one? And I was like, and these are people like different age groups. One's in the 30, the other one's in the 50s, and so this whole thing, and I was like, he's got to know that it's reaching multiple people and people that aren't comic book readers.
Yeah.
So I was excited to be able to share that with you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I didn't even write that. Like me and Dylan edited. We did the editing, and then the guy that wrote it was David Flesher. And because I just gave him a plot description like years ago, I'm like, yeah, here you go. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then he wrote like 3 issues. And I'm like, well, I'm going to pay you now. Well, I didn't pay him at that time, but I paid him after the Kickstarter for the first one. I'm like, for the next 2, I'll pay you. But we did not go along with like your versions of 2 and 3. Like 2 and 3 are completely different from like what he wrote. He does this whole like training and stuff. And I'm like, no one's going to want to like read through like
too slow. That's a montage.
Yeah, I'm like, so that is 100% like what it is in the second one. There's like a montage, and then that's
yeah,
that's it, and then it just moves on in the story, and it's so much better than like what we like were thinking of in the very beginning. But yeah, I can't wait for that. But
yeah,
we have to do ink first. So
yeah, you do.
Yeah, so we got all that going on. Do you have anything else going on?
Not necessarily. I pulled back from doing like inks and stuff on other people's stuff just because I've been so dedicated trying to get these multiple books out around the same time. And plus, with having a little bit of a different color style, because I mean, it's gray tones, and we had that gray wash for the first and second issue. Problem is I went from using like a Photoshop program to Affinity Photo to Clip Studio in tandem with Affinity Photo for doing the line work and the gray washes and stuff like that. In the space in between, I changed computers. I bought a new computer.
Oh.
And so I lost all the brushes and everything that I had before to be able to do the same style. So this one ended up being just a little bit more smooth. So, but it does lend itself a little bit more, I think, to the animated thing that people are kind of coming out and saying, hey, we think it should be this. So I'm like, I'm going to lean into that because I've had multiple people kind of be like, we could see, because in their mind, they're already taking that leap.
Yeah.
And the plan is for the trade, when all the 4 issues are done, for the trade, taking out all that gray wash probably and actually having it colored.
Huh. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So I made sure that each one of, every page was done in enough layers that I can remove those, and hopefully it'll give something extra for people to look forward to for that,
That's cool. Oh. Yeah. So where can people find you?
On Facebook, as you can see my name here, Shaun Barbour. You can find me there. If you join the Indie Comic Conspiracy page, obviously I pop in all the time there. I'm active as an admin because you got to keep things tight. I'm on Instagram as Instinct, INSTINKED. Just my playful little thing. Here, there's one of my stickers. So you can find that on TikTok if you wish, and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, and yeah.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Anytime, and thank you for popping my proverbial cherry as far as a solo podcast.
All right. This was episode 115.